Hey everybody, Channing Muller here with DCM Communications, and I was attending Inbound this week, and one of the sessions that I attended was all about email marketing, right? What is actually working now versus what worked before the pandemic. Hint, is not the same. And I'm so excited because the speaker was absolutely amazing and gave some really good nuggets of information. This video is here today to focus on subject lines, right? What is it that actually works in subject lines? Some of the things may surprise you, but in general, my biggest takeaways are 9 specific tips. So here we go. Number 1, the fake mistake, right? This is when you send an email and the subject line says like, oops, you almost missed out, or whoops, we forgot to add the link, right? If you put, uh-oh, time is almost out, things like that make it seem like they made a mistake but didn't. According to the stats for this, the research, right, which came from world data, 29% higher open rate on B2B emails just by putting in that like, oops, whoops, yikes, don't forget. Okay, those are things that are apparently performing really well, right? Absolutely fascinating. Number 2, using verse, right? Like VS. So for example, I have done a blog post on WordPress versus Squarespace. I've also done ones on Dubsado versus HubSpot. These are things that like put that direct competition, and people are like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to find out, like, how did they perform? Why? Because humans are naturally competitive. It is true, and we want to know all the things. So what we do is with this, right, notes versus increases open rates by 21%. Okay, so if you put in that subject line, HubSpot versus Dubsado, what you need to know. Yes, this happened to be an actual email I sent out. That gets really high open rates. Tip number 3 is to use the ... right? Now for you fantastic fellow iPhone users, sorry, Android, but you will know that when someone is sitting there texting you, they have the 3 dots and you can see their writing. Draws anticipation, right? You're like, oh my gosh, what are they about to send? Same is actually true with email marketing. So if you put that in there, it's going to draw anticipation. Examples. The best event idea is ... or the latest marketing tips you need to know ... that one's really not the best actually. So let's change that. This is what happens when you're totally transparent, right? Let's say instead it's the keynote speaker is ... or biggest lesson we learned with weddings ... Those are things that are going to get people to open their email rates. All right, so far we've covered number 1, the fake mistake. Whoops, oops, yikes, don't forget this. Versus putting 2 things directly against each other. Number 3, using the ... right? Because that's going to draw anticipation so that they open the email. The key, of course, being if you say, the best thing I've heard at a wedding this year was ... you need to actually put the example directly in the email, right? Super clear. We don't want to make sure that those subject lines and the content don't agree, right? They always have to pair nicely together. Tip number 4, bookend your subject line with emojis. Yes, it does not matter how incredibly serious or corporate your business is. There are so many emojis out there and all of them can make a difference, right? That doesn't just mean, like the thumbs up or a happy face or like a confused face. It could also be the alert symbol, right? The little red alert symbol, and you put it on both sides and you say, big news, flash sale, don't miss out, whatever it is there, right? It can also be a thumbs up. These things are absolutely wonderful. It can be a strong arm, like got you covered. In fact, one of my clients is a roofer, so he could literally put in a little house under a roof, right? Put that on both sides of the subject line. Make sure your subject line is still short enough so that they're both seen. That is going to increase open rates, according to this data, by more than 31% B2B. Super exciting. Next thing, tip number 5, no surprise to anyone who has had a journalism background or has been a content creator for a while, lists. Listicles in particular is what they're usually called. And this is where you see something like 5 tips to X, Y, and Z, right? 6 destinations you need to know about, 3 ways to make your event more effective, right? Or the 8 tips to a successful virtual event, okay? All of those things, people love lists, right? Because benefit is that we can sit there and just scroll down through the actual tips. or we can read all of the information that goes to support each one of them. Either way, listicles are huge. Lists, when they're in your email subject lines, also are going to be beneficial. Again, the data is showing 34% increase in B2B open rates. Tip number 6, forget your own creativity and focus on what the actual offer is and information inside the email. What does that mean? I tend to be a wordsmith, right? I think it's fun. I love puns. They're fantastic. They make me laugh. Marketing, though, is not about making me laugh. It's making sure that you, my target audience, actually opens the email, right? So instead of trying to get all creative, like we knocked it out of the park and it's an event about the park, like what is actually happening in there, right? You want to make sure that you're actually being specific to what is in the email. You can be super creative. And I think the example was there's Fanatics, right? Had an email that went out, sports related business. And it's the subject line was most valuable pants, i.e. a play on like MVP of sports, but most valuable pants. I don't care about who has most valuable pants. I don't know what that means. On we go. This doesn't affect my life, right? However, if they said directly what was in there in the subject line, like 30% off our best running pants, haha, I'm going to be interested because I run a lot and that seems more interesting. I don't know about most valuable pants. I do know specifically about running pants. Yes, I want to know that. Tip number 7 is the words that are actually proving to get higher open rates across like the last 60 days, which would be from about August through October. And that is showing the words free, 2022, right? We like to look to the future. I know what's happening in my life at this exact moment, or one would hope. What should I be prepared for? What is coming down the line? What are the trends I need to know? You're watching this video after all, so clearly this is something you're interested in too. Anyway, top words are free, 2022, limited, in stock, outlook, again, future, last chance, right? These things are really important, whether it's selling event tickets, it is a special offer or product that your company is offering, add timeline to it, right? These are things, a next set of words, right? Expires, available only. People want to feel like they're getting access to something that is exclusive and that is also limited, right? The benefit of it being limited from a timeline perspective is that it pushes them to do urgency, which means come and get it now because I'm not going to do it forever, right? This also gives you the benefit of the business owner that you're not freaking out about, is the next sale going to come in? Are they going to take this next step right up until the wire? You want to make sure you're giving urgency up front so you can have a little more peace of mind and your marketing can still be effective. Tip number 8 is the friendly from. So I'll admit this was a term that I did not know what this meant until the day. So you get an email and it says that it's from Channing Muller. Fantastic. Well, if we're not friends, you don't know who the hell I am. So that doesn't really mean much. But if it said that it was from DCM Communications events, you know, when you open that email, there's going to be something about an event I'm hosting. Instead, if it said DCM Communications marketing or DCM Communications sales, there's going to be a message directly tied to that, right? Why is it that you want to do this? Well, it gives you the ability, if you were a larger company, not a small company such as myself, but a little bit larger, to send multiple emails in a given day to people, right? Because it lets you send them to, there's one coming from the sales department. Here's another one about an event. Here's another one about marketing, right? I, as the person receiving the email, I may not care about the sales email, but I do always want to know about events. Or maybe I don't have time to read the marketing email today, but event emails, I always want to know about because those are my top priority, right? So that's one of the benefits for this. The other thing is that it is, again, the transparency factor of who is this coming from? What the heck is going to be inside? So that when I click and I open it, you're developing a good relationship with those people and you're giving them exactly what you said you would. It's not a bait and switch scenario. Now, if you are a small business and you don't have multiple different departments to work on this, this is something that could be very difficult to implement, in which case, totally fine, just skip on down. Next tip, best time to email. Now, pre-pandemic, this is something where a lot of people would be totally fine emailing 6, 7 a.m., right? Because we woke up, checked everything on our phone. Oh my gosh, yes, what's happening here? Went off to work. That is not everybody's schedule anymore, right? So many things have changed. And this kind of ties back to the larger marketing principle of email marketing will always be fantastic, always, right? Full stop, always be amazing, always be effective. because everybody checks their inbox. They do not always check social media. They're not always necessarily reading a print publication to see the ads. Everybody checks their email. It's just a matter of how long and when. So instead of sending that email at 7 o'clock in the morning, as we may have in the past, what we found successful, now hours have shifted, right? People are in hybrid work environments. So the recommendations, which my data on research has also been showing, is between 10 and about 2, right? 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. in whatever time zone you're trying to reach. Caveat being, which is my favorite part of this, is to send at more awkward times, because that is how you can stand out. So 10 to 2 may be like the best practice of, this is when people are checking email. They've already had a chance to clear through the crap. So then they sit down and they're like, yes, all right, I'm doing my work. A new email comes in. Your chances of getting that email read go up higher because it's not the same time everyone else is sending. So take that principle and apply it to, I'm going to send an email on Sunday at 8 o'clock at night. Guess what most people are doing on Sundays at 8 o'clock at night? Putting kids to bed or sitting down and watching TV and scrolling on their phone. So think of awkward times, right? What are some awkward times? 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? 9 o'clock at night. I've gotten an email at 10 o'clock at night before. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Now, granted, I did not receive it till the next morning because I put my phone on airplane mode. We all need boundaries. But even so, I still saw that first thing when I happened to wake up, which is a lot earlier than 6 o'clock. And it was there waiting for me, right? They sent it in an awkward time. I happened to be up at 5 o'clock. I woke up and looked at it in an awkward time. So awkward times really are performing well. So now let's recap all 9 of these tips. Number 1, the fake mistake, right? Oops, yikes, etc. Increase your open rates by 29%. Versus comparing 2 different things immediately in the email, 21% increase in open rates. Using the ... right? To tease what's exactly inside, and what's your inside, caveat, immediately answering that. Number 4, bookend your subject line with emojis, happy face, thumbs down, thumbs up, yeah, super strong, all those things. Tip number 5, lists. Listicles, 6 tips for doing this, 7 ways to improve that, 3 methods for X, Y, and Z, right? 34% open rate increase, 34%. Y'all, that's a lot, okay? Just to be clear. Number 6, forget creativity. Keep the puns inside or in videos or in other ways of your marketing, but not the subject line, right? Be very clear of exactly what they're going to get when they open the email. That is what keeps also your domain having much better performance rate so that you actually stay in the inbox and you don't get sent to people's spam folders later. Tip number 8 is the friendly from, right? This one is from DCM Communications Marketing. That one is from DCM Communications Sales, etc., right? Splitting it up. Tip number 9, best times to email. Currently, the tests are showing that is between 10 and 2 p.m. 10 a.m., 2 p.m. I am personally more of an advocate for completely outside of the box, weird, random times. The point is to stand out, right? I don't want to be there where everybody else is. I know where everybody else is. I want to stand out. So those are the 9 tips that I learned, the best ways to work on your email subject lines going forward in this current pandemic, yet still not March of 2020. Other things that you've heard may be outdated, but this is the 9 tips that you can work with now, all thanks to my attendance at HubSpot's inbound conference. So if you go to the DCM Communications website, you'll also be able to see some of the graphs that I have shown with this, right? As well as some supporting documents and links actually back to the company World Data, who did the research, and the speaker who presented all of this, which was absolutely awesome. So there you go, dcmcommunications.com.